Greetings, folks. Today we played some more Battlefield 1. Shotgun, of course. So I joined the good old server of Bob, and of course, always when I join the server, it's the end of the round. It's always the same.
Befehle, Feldwebel!
Objective apples. A flame trooper kit is available near your location.
Stole it already.
We have taken objective Charlie.
Wir brechen auf! Los, los!
Objective apples.
Medic. Come on.
Ich werfe eine Granate! Los, jetzt! Alle Ladung bereit.
We have lost objective Charlie.
Nice one. And there was somebody inside. I knew it. Gosh. Me. Go X.
We are losing objective butter.
Not it. How did they survive that? Did you saw that or not?
We are losing objective
Yeah, the one
butter.
that didn't even seem like he exploded. Huh. Again, go.
Wir müssen dieses Ziel um jeden Preis halten.
'82.
We have lost objective butter.
Today I was a little bit testing here the Ryzen 5 4500, and I was playing 2009, I think it is, or something. The video game Clive Barker Jericho. It was running in 10 watts, and then it had was really impressive. During the whole game, maxed out on 600 by 900. It was completely maxed out. It was doing 10 watts on the CPU of power consumption, not higher, and CPU utilization was 11%, and then VRAM usage was 725 megabytes. It was really impressive. That.
Granate ist raus vor und zu. Granate ist raus, aufpassen!
Medic. Yeah, that was really impressive. I think the game was from 2009 or something, or 8, something like that. It was in the end of the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 days. It was also on that console.
Wir dürfen das Ziel nicht verlieren. Verteidigt es!
Yeah, that was really impressive. That 10 watts and then 11 watts, 11% of CPU utilization. Really impressive.
Ziel erobern! Los doch!
Would never have thought that we got to that. Whoa. Medic.
We're losing objective butter. We have lost objective butter.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was really impressive, man. I've never seen it. I never thought that I would get the day that I could see CPUs run like
We have
that, to be
taken
very
objective
honest.
Edward.
That kind of power draw is really crazy. I'm still from the time that we had single core Pentiums that were running on 130 watts, you know, and Celerons that were running on a 95 watt TDP, you know. So it's really impressive to see to see things run.
Alle Sprengsätze in Position!
Very impressive. Holy moly, of course. And also the difference in old PCs and modern PCs. I'm talking then about PCs that have aftermarket coolers, better coolers, but even stock, you know. If you also listen to the noise that PCs today make and what they made.
We are losing objective apples.
the noise that they made a decade ago or two, it is completely different as today. Computers are way more powerful, also way more silent, man. And you get sick by yourself. It doesn't matter so much what really matters, really. It really matters, man. You're listening all day, you know, huge sound. I'm talking then also about a PC that has aftermarket cooling and also doesn't have a noisy power supply, because you have also PCs that have very noisy power supplies or crappy, how do you call that, coolers on the graphics card. If you have that, then yeah.
We have lost objective Edward.
Erobert dieses Ziel.
Yeah, but if you then listen to the difference an old PC and a new PC, the noise, it's completely different. Holy moly. Got your guns, huh? Yeah. I'm kind of a silent freak, but yeah, it's really a huge difference, man. Modern PCs are way more silent. I have still some old PCs to play around with, you know. Even if you look at a decade ago, if you look at an FX CPU and stuff like that, those things really make a fucking noise.
Aufpassen, Granate raus!
Son of a bitch. Yeah, so we're also going down, and also the power consumption. That depends on which country you live in. Some countries you don't really pay so much for a kilowatt, but in some countries you really do. Like in England and Portugal has very expensive electricity. There's some states in the United States also where you can pay sometimes 3-4 times more per kilowatt hour than some other countries, you know. So in those countries, then also, yeah, it's really worth it to have a system that doesn't consume so much electricity, you know. Two of them there on the bridge. Look at that.
The enemy has the upper hand.
But yeah, noise also, you know. It's really nice to have a silent PC. I hate to listen to vents. I have also some professional amplifiers for sound systems, and those things you can also not use in your studio. You really can't. Those things make so much noise that yeah, it's impossible to use them at home or in the studio unless you put them in another room or something. Those things, they sound really like turbine
Das Ziel da! Erobern!
hair dryers. Nice one. There he comes.
Herzlichen Dank. Ich werfe eine Granate, aufpassen! Hier ist eine Granate! Granate raus!
He saved him already. Nice one. So the 4500 is also significantly more silent than the 5500. It really is. Especially on the load. It really is.
We are losing objective apples.
Sprengsätze sind scharf.
So he was still over there, man. You saw that scumbag? Full of campers, wow. By the way, the lock also, by the way, the Fire Pro W600 is also not such a noisy a noisy card. It's actually really silent. And that helps us, you know. Some graphics cards can also have really, you know, a high-pitched whine in it, you know. And on the load, some of them get really noisy. But actually, the W600 has pretty big vent blades and a big cooler on it with a copper heatsink on it. Copper with aluminium.
We are losing objective apples.
God damn. He was trying to save me. Oh god. Yeah, it's really silent actually. It's really crazy. I'm now on the load. I'm not listening really anything. I didn't even spin up. It doesn't really. It's almost the same when you're just running a YouTube video in HD.
müssen versorgt werden. Ich werfe die Granate.
No medic around now.
Ich werfe
Go down the floor, man. That's sometimes really something really hard to see, man, in Battlefield. See people laying on the floor. When you got there 620. They got us really in a corner, man.
Schick dir eine Granate.
Killed in action. I don't even know how that happened, man. Yeah, get all killed, the medics. Okay, there's now some tank trying to go through the other side, which would be also like actually really cool.
Jetzt eine Granate.
We're completely surrounded.
We are losing objective apples.
Big apples, guys. Go apple.
Verteidigt das Ziel! Granate raus! Aufpassen, Granate raus! Dynamit ist...
We are losing objective apples.
We got a tank over here. He's taking B. Go with him.
Granate ist raus! Ab! Granate ist raus! Köpfe runter!
We go now to the Italian month of Montagrappa. Montagrappa. Allora. Yeah, so we go to Italian side over here. This is a really nice map, actually, as a single shot sniper. That's actually what I think I'm gonna do. Go carabine. I don't want a shotgun. Yeah, I was reckon we can go. Let me just go here, wait. And customize.
We have taken objective Edward. We have taken objective
Just
Charlie.
unlocked this now, so we got marksman. Marksman, Russian sniper. We're gonna go with this one.
Erwarten Ihre Befehle, Feldwebel. Erobert das Ziel.
Only for okay, so enough people in the game. Yeah, unlocked a couple of guns over there. I didn't even know that I already had stuff to unlock, but yeah, I already advanced a lot. Didn't use my my coins also. For a long time. I got like, I don't know how many, but I have a lot of coins over there. But for some time I wasn't even doing weapon upgrades. Also because after some time you cannot do it until you level up a little bit more. So there you go.
Ich werfe eine Granate.
We are losing objective Charlie. We have lost objective Charlie.
Yeah, so I was a little bit doing some research about why the memories were going up so much in price, and the SSDs are going also up in price, not as much as memories, but what it turns out is that I think it was Hynix and Samsung, they basically, of course, a little bit end of life of DDR4, but they also they had a big demand and they didn't produce so much DDR5 RAM and also VRAM, so GDDR6. They also they had a high demand, and they didn't produce some of it or most of it, and some of it they stopped even producing because they are going already to GDDR7, and they want also a big transition to DDR6 in the future with the next platforms, but also with the big demand that they all of a sudden had for other technologies, not just PCs. In consoles they use it also, by the way, that kind of RAM. And they haven't, they stopped the production or something of certain types. I think it was DDR4, DDR5 they haven't produced as much, or they had a high demand even to use in other applications. Some other devices also use that, you know, not just PCs, consoles, but also other devices can use that kind of RAM, you know. And so therefore they haven't produced so much. They had a high demand with the Windows updates also, so you know, they yeah. And this is why there's now just yeah, a shortage basically. So and so expect also that some graphics card can also still go up in price. The ones that use DDR6.
Danke, Mann.
Yeah. Of course. So yeah, you can even expect that. So that starts also making a little bit of a sense also why Xbox started also hiring the prices. Because yeah, it really went up significantly. It tripled, and then especially RAM and SSD stuff like that. And yeah, the Xbox uses that also. The Xbox uses GDDR6 also, I think it does. You know, and then on PC DDR5 and especially DDR4, it got really expensive. DDR4 is now even more expensive than the DDR5. But DDR5 went up also, and SSDs are slowly going up also. You know, and if you then start looking to a whole console. Yeah, then start making a little bit of a sense also why they started. Hey, that was completely freaking out. So it started a little bit making sense also why the prices of the consoles are going up. So it's not just tariffs, you know. It's literally just you know, nationally the big producers was Samsung and Hynix and one or two cruise shop thing was in there also.
Granate ist raus, hoch zu!
High demand and stopped producing DDR4. Didn't produce as much DDR5 as they think they needed, and also
Sentry kit is available.
they stopped the production of the DDR6. So yeah. Doesn't it the other reason? The only reason also, it's also corporate greed, huh? I mean, let's keep it real over here, you know. This part of it is also, you know, because don't forget one thing, you know, we as a consumer pay then, you know, all of a sudden $70 for 16 gigs of RAM, you know, but they get it for the buy-in price. They pay 1/3, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's still them. They don't suffer what we suffer because they buy the things for 1/3 and they buy in bulk and then they get even a bigger discount, you know. So, you know, for them there's a big part of it corporate greed, you know. But yeah, everything together, you know, SSDs more expensive, GDDR more expensive, or normal RAM more expensive. Yeah, then you know, in the end the console also uses minimum GDDR6 and it uses flash memory for the SSD, you know. Yeah. And that's understandable. He's all the time freaking out. Look at that, man. Hey. Whoa. That's kind of a weird bug, is that, all of a sudden?
Erobert dieses Ziel!
Did the airplane crash? I think it did. Go see. Yeah. So all of that together, high demand for the Windows upgrades, of course, no, because enterprises also, you know. We shouldn't forget one thing, you know. It wasn't just also consumers that only needed to all of a sudden. Holy moly. Needed to start upgrading their PCs and stuff. It was also companies, you know. So, yeah. I must say that's the reason why RAM prices are going up, DDR5, DDR4. SSD prices are gonna go up, and you have also the chance that lower end graphics cards that then use still DDR6 will also go up in price. From an airplane, son of a gun. So yeah, if you still need to, I mean, storage is also a little bit difficult because storage, you know, there's something about an SSD, you know. Storage, yeah, can go temporarily a little bit up in price, but then there's something about storage, you know, that if you today you pay $50, let's just give a stupid example. Today, if you pay $40 for a 500 gigabyte hard SSD, then many times after a year or two, you buy for those $40 not 500 gigs, but all of a sudden one terabyte. So, you know, with storage is always a little bit, you know, over the years, you know, you saw it in 2 years ago, 256 gigs costed still $40 or 38, 40, 45, and today you get 512 gigs for 35, $40. So, you know, with storage is always a little bit different, you know, but with RAM not, you know, and you know, GDDR RAM, so VRAM, GDDR stands for graphical DDR that you use for graphics card. You know, and that's a little bit of a different story, you know. Because storage is always, you can say, should I buy now or, well, the prices are going slowly up. They went already up with 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks on some drives, you know. They're going slowly up also already, but, you know. And sometimes it's still worth it to wait a little bit with buying because in half a year or a year you probably get more space for the same price.
Objective Charlie.
You know? So storage is always a little bit difficult, you know. Every 2 or 3 years you basically receive for the same price the double of space, you know. So. But yeah, I expect graphics card to go up in price also, and especially then the ones that use DDR6, that use GDDR6. Those ones are gonna really go up in price. Yeah.
Halfway there, the enemy has the upper hand.
And consoles use that also, you know, so that is why also, again, you know, a console, you know, an Xbox Series S or X, you know, what it just uses is 16 gigs of GDDR5, you know. And in those consoles, they don't really use RAM, you know. They use for everything, they use GDDR. So you have one pool of RAM in those things, not like in a PC where you have normal RAM and a separate pool for your operating system and then a separate VRAM. But in those consoles it's not like that. They have just one pool of RAM and that's then GDDR6 or GDDR7. So yeah. Come on. One time here on the wrong, but I'm not used to play as this mechanic over here, so I have all the buttons here different. The moment I'm thinking here I'm still assault, you know. Oh god. Darker than dark is coming up. Yeah, I'm done. So yeah, apparently they are already heavily producing a DDR6. So I think then Ryzen 10,000, we're on Ryzen now, that's Zen 5 I think we are. Oh, Zen 5 or Zen 6. Yeah, or Zen 5 or Zen 6 we are on now. And that's then the Ryzen 9000 series. I think then that the 10,000 series is going to be already supporting both DDR5 and DDR6. Or maybe it's going to support only DDR6. And I don't know if they then also change the socket AM5 to AM6, you know. Because normally the socket going from AM5 and AM6 is... AM3 stood for DDR3, AM4 stood for DDR4, AM5 stands for DDR5. So I think that if they then introduce DDR6, there's going to be also a new socket for Ryzen. It's going to not be AM5, it's going to be AM6. You know, and they apparently they are producing that now a lot already. So they said, you know, that they are basically already producing a lot now DDR6, and that DDR5 and then GDDR6 is what they still have in the storage, as stock basically in warehouses, and that's why. And with this big demand now, all of a sudden, yeah, what they have is scarcity. You know, they don't have so much anymore, so the prices are going up, and they're not going to produce more. At least there was minimum Samsung, Hynix, and I think it was Crucial that stopped already producing DDR4, DDR5 and GDDR6. So there you go. And then having also a high demand also for storage. That's what we're saying also. The price of storage was going up, but that's not because they are not producing the flash. It's because it's just a very high demand. But the storage, I've seen some prices go up 5 or 6 euros. I saw it going up to about 20 euros. It's about the max I saw storage going up in price. So that isn't the worst, you know.
We are losing objective butter.
My God, I was totally distracted. So there, I don't think the price increases are going to be so big. Yeah, but so, you know, count on that, you know, that you're going to spend a little bit more for your consoles and for your PCs like that. Yeah.
We are losing objective Charlie.
Of course, there's always a beautiful second-hand market. You have those kind of shops also, like CEX, where you can really, you know, cheap get used memory and stuff. So there's always that, you know. I saw some on the used market still for old prices, for good prices, you know. But yeah, new... getting very expensive. Yeah, doubled or tripled, which is completely crazy, you know.
Sie dürfen dieses Ziel nicht kriegen, verteidigt es!
At the mountain pass over there, actually, let's go D.
Wir müssen dieses Ziel jeden Preis halten.
We have lost objective Charlie.
Son of a bitch didn't die, I don't know why.
We have taken objective Charlie.
There's still some brands on the market. I'm talking also a little bit also about the higher end RAM. There's some brands that you can still find them on the market new for basically the old prices. You pay like yeah, $40 for 16 gigs, but that's then not really so gaming memory. That's more like normal memory, cache latency 22. Which is also okay for gaming, but yeah, you noticed it a little bit. And then the gaming memory is always like cache latency 16, so, you know. I'm gonna get another gun, man.
We have lost objective butter.
I don't like this Russian one too much.
We have taken
Wir müssen
objective
das Ziel
butter.
erobern!
Weiter so, Männer!
Oh gosh, from the air.
An enemy airship is en route.
Still is a little bit expensive for 16 gigs, $40, but it's still reasonable. Because those memories were 1.5 to 3 months ago, you could still pick them also up for like 26, $28 or something, you know. But $40, yeah, it's still reasonable. A little bit lower, a little bit higher latency, but still totally usable for gaming. Going from 22 to 16 is, yeah, you notice a little bit of response time, but it's not gonna set the world on fire.
Has arrived.
What was the name of that brand? Lexar. Still lots of them available for really a good price. But this was also unavoidable, this, you know, I mean, this whole thing with everybody need to change to Windows 10 was just unavoidable. And it was also like really an environmental disaster because so many PCs became, for many people, completely worthless, you know. Mine or not? I remember also a decade ago or a decade and a half ago, I remember also there was a time that it was also like that for some time with hard drives, that they all of a sudden were also really stupidly expensive, you know, for some time. Yeah, I remember that. There was also some scarcity. I think it was a fire or something in some factories that make hard drives, and also yeah, there was something also in that time going on with memory. I don't know what it was exactly, but it was a time that it was in the let me see. I think it was in the DDR1, DDR2 era. That was. I think it was DDR1, yeah, or the 400 megahertz era. That there was a time that memories were stupid expensive. For some time, yeah, I remember that very well. And of course, everybody remembers in COVID how it was with the graphics card, that they were stupidly expensive. And the consoles also, when they first came out and they weren't enough, and people scalping them and selling them for, you know, thousands of bucks. You know, remember the PlayStation 5 when it just came out and the Xbox Series X, yeah. I think they also then couldn't produce enough, and there was also components that weren't produced because the factories were closed because of COVID, and yeah. Then you get again that scarcity, and then you have the scalpers who take profit of that.
Hi guys.
Quello è l'obiettivo! Dobbiamo conquistarlo!
Do you have voice?
Yeah. Like kind of strange, you know. I found that really weird. I was searching for that, and I saw like several things mentioning that story, that these big 3 or 4 memory producers stopped making DDR4 and GDDR6, and I was like, that I can even understand, because most platforms on the market today is DDR5 and GDDR7, you know. But that they stopped also producing DDR5, that for me was really, really strange, because there's still so many PC platforms and, you know, and yeah, graphics cards they're not, you know. Most of them use already GDDR7 or HBM memory, high bandwidth memory, but You know, DDR5 not producing anymore. Hello, you know, there's still so many platforms from Intel and AMD on the market, you know, that use DDR5, you know. DDR5 is really not that old, you know. That is 2023 or 2024? 2023, I think it came out, yeah. AM5 platform with a DDR5 and then the Intel 11 gen, 12 gen, 13 gen and 4 gen. I think 10 gen you had models of DDR4 and DDR5. But there's still so much on the market today, brand new, you know, that uses DDR5, you know. I mean, even AM5 platform is not obsolete yet, not even AM4, you know. It's still being really sold, you know. Both processors and memories, you know. Yeah. Actually, DDR4 is not even obsolete. It's being really used a lot still, so. But especially DDR5 for me is really weird that. Yeah, really weird. Because if you look at platform AM4, you know, Ryzen with DDR4 actually was many generations, you know. But AM5 not at all, because AM5 had only the Ryzen 3 5000 series. Then you had then in AM5 you had only Ryzen 7000 and 9000 series, and then on laptop, you had 6000 and 8000 series. So, you know. But desktop, it's only 2 series for AM5, you know. If now the 10,000 series is going to be already AM6, you know, that means that for the desktop, you had only two generations AM5. And with AM4, you had 5 generations on desktop. So, that's completely different, you know. Because the generations of laptops are always different. Eh? Oh, I don't have now also explosives. I don't have nothing now.
We have lost
objective
butter.
Very distracted today. So, yeah, a decade, maybe even more, that AM4 was available. But AM5 not, man. A couple of years only. And now they're going already to AM6, you know. So it becomes also very quickly an obsolete platform, and also a problem for, you know, if a platform so short period of time is available, then it's going to be also very quickly difficult to get memory for it for good prices, and also motherboards. Because then they're gonna also immediately, if they stop producing DDR5, they're gonna immediately also stop producing motherboards for DDR5, you know. I mean, they always have an extra stash for some people that they need to, you know, their motherboard breaks down and they just use their old RAM still and the CPU. But, you know, in general, you know, they're not gonna produce on a high scale anymore, you know. You don't want to be in the Atari situation where you created way more cartridges for your console than there were actually consoles, you know. And with the memories like that also, you're not going to produce a shitload of motherboards for a platform that the CPU is not being made anymore, or the memory is not being made anymore. You make some for the repairs and for how do you call it, for when people RMA it, you know, and bring it back on the guarantee. You always need to have a little bit of a backup, but you're not gonna, on a big scale, produce a lot of them anymore, you know. When the platform is not, you know, when there's something in the platform, you know, if a person goes to a shop, then he's not gonna buy only a motherboard. He's gonna buy a motherboard, a CPU, and a memory. So all of that needs to be available, you know. Otherwise it's not worth it, you know. Oh yeah. It's a bit also the problem with Intel, you know. Intel every year or 2 years they change the socket, you know. That's so nice of AMD. AM4 is almost 10 years old, you know. But Intel not, man. Every year or 2 years a new socket. And what does that mean, you know? It means that in a couple of years, in 2 or 3 years, there's already not. If your motherboard breaks down, you cannot get a motherboard anymore, new. And that's a problem, and in that AM4 and AM3 were very strong. AM3 was also 10 years available. So for 10 years, if you needed a new motherboard, you could keep on using your same RAM and your same CPU, you know. But if you needed another motherboard, for 10 years you could buy a new one, you know. Now in AM5 not. AM5 is only a couple of years on the market, and now we're gonna already basically phase it out and go to DDR6 AM6. So... And then it's very quickly there's not going to be motherboards new available anymore. And these are those motherboards, by the way, that don't have holes in the socket. No, they have those little bendy pins that you make one mistake and you destroy those pins, you know, like LGA kind of platform, you know. So they're even like very fragile sockets. AM4 not, and AM3 they're really strong sockets. Why? Because they don't have those little pins in there. They have just holes in there. Pins are in the CPU, you know. So the motherboard is a very safe socket. It's very difficult to destroy the socket of AM3 and AM4. AM5 it's really easy. You just need to for a moment drop the CPU on the wrong angle on the socket, and it's gone. Yeah. So, and then second hand is also difficult to find a motherboard that still works, you know. It's worrying that.
We are losing objective Butter.
There's also a reason why I don't like Intels, you know. Intel every year or two has a new socket. They went from 775 to 1150 to 1155 to 1151 to 1200 to 1700. Now it's there on 1200 or something. It's a complete, you know, every year or 2 years you need a bloody new socket, you know, for your motherboard, you know. It's completely crazy, that. There's a reason why I don't like Intel also, and that's because they have also those really fragile sockets, you know. That even sometimes in situations where you have more humidity in the air and stuff, those sockets can sometimes even fail, you know. LGA. Land grid array, you know. There are really tiny hairs on it, you know. They have 1200 or 1700 pins over there, and they're just tiny little metal clip hairs pointing up, you know, and those things really get really quickly a bad contact, or and if you drop or you get something falling in there, or you know. I had already ones that were making really bad contact with the LGA 1151s and 1155s, you know. That one pin was a little bit bent down already. You need to be really careful with a little toothpick, pull it up, and if you gave it just a little wrong angle or a little too much strength, it immediately broke off. Bye bye, motherboard. I don't like that. Yeah.
halfway
So
there.
I'm just saying that, you know, that fragile motherboards like that, you know, don't think, I mean, you can probably, in 20 years, you can probably find yourself a working AM3 or AM4 platform because, you know, those sockets don't destroy, but they're going to be very difficult for you with Intel. With the way that those sockets are, the LGA, land grid array, it's going to be very difficult to find a motherboard that still has a not damaged socket that makes good contact. Yeah, they're gonna be difficult that.
We are losing objective Duff.
Why do you think you can still find motherboards of 1992 that still work, you know, in 1995? Because first Pentiums and the 486 had the same sockets that AM4 has and AM3. Those sockets are solid, you know. Yeah, you can break the pins of your CPU, but you're not gonna break the motherboard so quickly, you know. And those pins on the CPU are really strong also. Yeah. You never seen also those crazy YouTube videos where you see people showing those LGA sockets completely burned and melted, you know, that the CPU was laying in there with those 1700 pins of Intel or AM5 also, you know. Especially the X3D chips, they have that a lot, you know. If they then have the wrong pressure on the cooler and on the CPU socket, the clip on top of it that needs to then hold it, and you clamp it down, and there needs to be a certain pressure on that, and also a certain pressure on your CPU cooler. And if that CPU in that socket is in a little bit of a wrong angle, or you have a dirty contact over there, you can have that there's a lots of amps and voltage flowing over there, and you can have that one of those pins is not making good contact, and what you get then is you get little arcs in there, and then it just starts melting, you know, because one of those pins is not making good contact. For a data pin it doesn't matter so much, but if it's a voltage pin, you know, then you can literally have it that you melt your socket. And this is also a reason why I don't like LGA sockets. Land grid array. I really don't like it. Give me pins on the CPU and holes in the motherboard. Serious. It's proven technology. Even a Commodore 64 works like that, you know? Or a Commodore Amiga. I have literally there a Motorola 86,000, you know. 68,000, sorry, Motorola 68,000, you know. And even all the RAM there and the CPUs in those things is just, you know, holes in the motherboard and pins on the CPU that you just stick in there, you know. Those things today still work. And you ask yourself that question also, you know, like, are more pins really necessary on the CPU, you know? And sometimes you wonder yourself that. You think, yeah, when you go from AM4 to AM5, you have all of a sudden like the double of pins, you know? But with Intel, do they really need to go from 1150 to 1155 to 1151? Is that really because of technical reasons that they need that -1 pin or more 5 pins and then the next chip less 5 pins? Is that really because of performance? No, it's not. It's just to screw you over. Like in the old times, many people don't know this, but you could. This is really funny. With the Core Deutsch Duo, the Pentium dual cores, you had the normal version and you had the server version.
Objective done.
And the normal version was LGA 775, and then the server version was LGA 771. And you could literally just take a piece of tape and then stick it over 4 pins in a corner in a special place. He had a little diagram that you could look up where to stick that little piece of tape. And then you stick that over there, and then you took from in 1155, you took the 3 pins away, and then you etched a little edge on the side of the CPU, and then it just worked in a server motherboard, or vice versa. You know, yeah. You could use server 11's LGA 771, you could use 775 CPUs in those boards, and vice versa. 775 in the 771 board, yeah. It was really fun though. Yeah, Xenons 771s you could put in consumer motherboards and vice versa. It was fun that. Yeah. We have also melted some motherboards by having it a little bit in the wrong place. Yeah. Fun, they were fun times.
We have lost objective butter.
Yeah, very fun times was that.
We have taken objective.
Yeah, so it seems like, because man, DDR4 was a long time on the market, man. I think there were already PCs in 2014 or something, 15, that you had already PCs on the market. Like, yeah, you had, man. That was 5th gen and 6th gen Intel already had that. Yes, the 6500 had that already. Yeah. DDR4 is already on the market since 2014 or 13. You could already buy for the consumer, and I'm even talking about server, because server was probably already way longer available. But for consumer, yeah, I mean, you could already 2014 or something. I remember already PCs that had the DDR4 i5 6500 and the T version. Oh, that's the guy in the big suit. Yeah, man. So DDR4 is almost 10 years around, man. More than 10 years already. DDR5 only 2023, 2024. Yeah, that's crazy. So it seems like DDR was really a stopgap, a temporary platform. DDR5, yeah. Very temporary platform. I like DDR4. I think it's fast enough. Yeah.
Difenderemo l'obiettivo!
We have lost objective butter.
Medic.
We have taken objective Duff.
Grazie molte! Forza, conquistiamo l'obiettivo! Granata lanciata! Occhio!
Yeah, I remember Intel, I think DDR5 was a little bit longer available, yeah. Yeah, a little bit longer, but also not much. I think it was 11 gen, yeah. It was 11 gen. Yeah, we're now on 15 gen. So that's only four generations on Intel. You know, and in AMD, you know, you have then the 6000, it's laptop, 7000 desktop, 8000 laptop, and 9000 desktop, you know. But the laptop and the desktop version always come out in the same time. It's just also a stopgap, you know, so you can't really count them. They're just basically the same generation, you know. They're not different generations, so in that sense, you know, DDR6, the way it looks like it's gonna last a very short period of time. Yeah, which is really weird. Yeah, almost the end of the round.
We have taken objective Edward.
Yeah, was today really playing as a medic, but I haven't done it for a long time. And also not with these weapons.
We have lost objective Duff.
Yeah, and also if I look at this whole platform, both of AMD, AM5, and I look at 13 and 14 gen Intel, and I look even at PlayStation 5 and Xbox 360, let's be really honest, this whole generation has been really crappy, both the consoles and PC, because there were also several problems. Oh yeah. 13 and 14 gen Intels burn up and they're unstable. We had situations both on AMD and on Intel where people's burning up motherboards and sockets, you know. The whole exclusivity of games and the amount of games that actually really came out for, you know, the new generation of consoles, you know. It was really crappy, man, to be very honest. This whole 5th generation consoles, PlayStation 5, Xbox, and even this PC platforms, the last one, were quite underwhelming and very problematic. Both on AMD with the X3D and Intel 13 and 14 gen chips, and lots of problem with these LGA motherboards, and it was really, even on PC, it was really not good, this whole generation. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you. Gonna leave it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed that. See, the more I think about it, the more I think weird this whole generation and transition. It is. Yeah, very weird. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening, and catch you in the next one. Cheers and beers.